If you are considering a move to Tampa Bay and being in a walkable downtown area with tons of restaurant options, but that is also in an area that is going to keep you safe from flooding and position you still close to things like the beach, like the airport, like downtown, then really Safety Harbor is one of the best places you could pick. And so that's really what we're going to go over, guys, in this video. So we're going to go over the location, do a bit of a map tour of what to expect about the area of Safety Harbor. Where's downtown? Where do you want to situate yourself around? Where are the parks? And then we're also going to talk about why you can consider places like Countryside within that Safety Harbor decision, because actually me and Aubrey lived in Countryside when we first got married for years. We actually rented an apartment here, and I'm going to go into why we didn't end up buying in and around this area and why we actually ended up moving away. So I'm going to go over that in the video, and then we're also just going to go over what it's like to actually grow up and live around here in Safety Harbor, because Aubrey did grow up right in Safety Harbor, surprisingly. So she's going to tell you a bit of what it's like to grow up here, go in a Little League, things like that. And then, guys, we're going to go over the pricing and the real estate market and kind of everything you need to keep in mind when it comes to choosing Safety Harbor or deciding to be just outside of it in Countryside, navigating the prices from north to south, and then also balancing out a Safety Harbor versus Dunedin decision. What do you need to know, and what are the things that you're going to want to keep in mind? So really, we're going over a lot in this video. Okay, so let's jump into everything you need to know when it comes to the location of Safety Harbor and why this spot just is such a tremendous location. So downtown Safety Harbor is located right here, but Safety Harbor overall is spread. It's pretty thin, and it's kind of got a north to south, and it feels a lot bigger, even though it is actually half the size of Dunedin from a square footage standpoint. Dunedin it seems like they're the same size, but they're actually square footage and just population. Dunedin is twice the size of Safety Harbor, but because it's more compact, Dunedin just seems a lot smaller and Safety Harbor seems more spread out. So that's one thing to note. Now, a big reason people love Safety Harbor in Countryside is just the location. It literally is 30 minutes from everything, and I'll show you guys what I mean. If we put in Tampa International Airport, it is, what time is it? It's like 2:30 right now. It's 1:25 right now. So 1:25, 22 minutes, 1:25 on a weekday to Tampa International Airport. We'll do downtown St. Pete, guys, so that you can see what that's like. That's going to be less than 30 minutes as well, 29 minutes. And then let's say you want to go to any of the beaches, Clearwater Beach, for example. That's going to be 28 minutes, and then Honeymoon Island is going to be, roughly the same, more than likely. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, 33 minutes. So everything is kind of 30 minutes around from here. You can take the Courtney Campbell. You can take 580. You have multiple routes. You have the Bayside Bridge to get into St. Pete. And what's nice is actually you basically get on the Bayside Bridge and you're on the highway the whole time. Ever since the Gateway Expressway opened up, you connect to 275, and then next thing you know, you're downtown St. Pete. So there are a lot of advantages to being in Safety Harbor. Also, the Countryside Safety Harbor area, surprisingly, is the highest point of Tampa Bay. So when it comes to even getting away from flood zones, getting away from areas that are going to be much lower topographically and are going to see much more flooding, like Altamar, you don't have to worry about that as much in Safety Harbor, even though you still have a bit of the coastal lifestyle, and the downtown area still feels like very much like a coastal downtown area. Okay, so then when it comes to Safety Harbor, what are the spots, where are the areas that you're going to want to situate yourself around, and what really is the lifestyle like in Safety Harbor? Because it's a lot different from spots like Dunedin, like downtown Clearwater, like Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor, because Safety Harbor does have a much more quiet and laid back feel. The downtown area isn't very big. It's just kind of this Main Street area here, from basically right over the train tracks. It really starts further up here where Nona's is. Nona's is kind of the first spot. So yeah, you got Nona's Slice here, which Dave Portnoy, famous pizza spot, always busy, love it. And then you go down, you got Harbor Bar on the right. We used to do karaoke there, me and Aubrey, every Tuesday. And then also this whole area transforms every third Friday. And then they also have like farmers markets and things like that, Giggle Waters. And we have another video where we talk more about downtown Safety Harbor and actually walk through it. But it is very, very full. It's got a lot going on. So it's definitely big enough to be a spot that you want to situate yourself around. It's gonna be super fun. The resort down here, actually, surprisingly, this is where most of our relocation buyers stay when it comes to what hotel, what resort, what spot is the most centrally located for me being able to explore the entire Tampa Bay area, that is always the spot. That, or there's one other hotel on US 19 as well that people pick. But yeah, that is kind of it. And then they also have, guys, down here, they have a pier going all the way down here. And really, this is kind of like now moving into here, like when we had the two hurricanes, this area was all flooded in kind of here, but it does topographically get pretty high back there. And so a lot of the flooding that you saw in Safety Harbor was all this area here where they have kind of the boats, but then they have the pier all the way down here, which actually got taken out in I think one of the two hurricanes that we had, previous two bad ones, it got taken out. And so they are rebuilding it. I don't know the progress there, but with that being said, so you got downtown Safety Harbor, but then also there's a lot of other spots that you're going to want to know to situate yourself around, like Philippi Park. Guys, Philippi Park is really, I cannot downplay this area's just significance even historically. This is the first area that was really inhabited by humans, and when the Spanish came in the 1500s, they, I guess, came in here. There's a whole story about it, but you have to read about it. But it has been around. There is historical artifacts here that go back to the 1500s. I know that. And so it is a very, very significant spot. There's a lot of Indian mounds, but it's also a super beautiful park that is just an awesome for biking through it, for walking through it. I love this park. We loved going here like Thanksgiving for football. After we'd eat Thanksgiving, we'd go here and play football. So there are a lot of cool spots like that. And then they also have like Marshall Street Park, where they actually have pickleball courts that just opened up, and we'd actually go here and play pickleball pretty often as well when we were living in Countryside. Now, when you go south, you actually go outside of Safety Harbor, and you're actually technically in Clearwater down here. But Kapok Park and the area here along Alligator Lake, the biking trails all in and throughout here, there are a ton to know about, and it really is a beautiful area to bike through. So this is just a lot of things to know about when it comes to the Safety Harbor lifestyle. And that being said, I'm going to give you guys one little local hack about the coast right down here. When I first moved to Tampa Bay, Aubrey would always talk about how they would make fun of, not so much here, but further down, I guess there is a beach right here where people can swim, and it's mostly tourists, because actually, guys, right over here is a sewage treatment facility. And so that being said, I like to let people know that the coast along here in the bay is nothing like what you get on the Gulf. And so that's just something to keep in mind, just that all the areas along the coast aren't necessarily going to be areas that you are going to want to swim in or going to want to do a bunch of activities in. And the bay side of the coast is very, very different from the Gulf side. The water is going to be very different. There's going to be a lot more commercial influence, probably, you'll see in the Bayside. Anyhow, those are kind of all the main things that are going on in and around the Safety Harbor area. Aubrey will talk a bit more about like the parks and Little League and what it was like to grow up in and around here. But for your guys' sake, when it comes to knowing what nuances to navigate when it comes to choosing the right area of Safety Harbor, if positioning yourself around this stuff is important, it's just good to know that it is pretty spread out. And so if you want to be near downtown Safety Harbor, it's actually closer to be here in Countryside than necessarily up here in Safety Harbor. So those are things to keep in mind. We're going to break down the pricing and things to know around there, and how to weigh out the differences between Safety Harbor and Dunedin. But really, from a location standpoint, guys, that is why Safety Harbor is such a top spot.
All right, so I wanted to give you guys a good idea of what it's like to actually live in the Safety Harbor area. So I was actually a 5-minute drive from Main Street in Safety Harbor. I lived right across McMullen Booth. And so even though my address was technically Clearwater, I definitely lived the Safety Harbor lifestyle. I was on Safety Harbor's Little League team. I was on Safety Harbor's softball team, and I was involved in some of the parades and all sorts of stuff. And so even though I was a Clearwater girl, I still lived the Safety Harbor lifestyle. And so one of my favorite things about Safety Harbor is, even though it is smaller, it still is extremely lively, and you'll see people coming from all over Pinellas County to come to some of the events that Safety Harbor has to offer. So one of my favorite events is Third Friday, which happens every third Friday of the month, and they block off part of Main Street, and they ask a lot of local vendors to come by and sell their stuff. And so you get to walk around and see all the local vendors and run into people that you know, and there's a ton of dogs and all that sorts of stuff, so there's a lot happening during that event. And so I always loved going to that as a kid. And even now. And then also they do 4th of July fireworks, a Christmas parade. They have all sorts of festivals that happen near the pier. And so even though it's a small town, it still is extremely lively and really has a lot happening. And so it's a great place to situate yourself around. One thing to keep in mind, though, is because it has a lot happening, and because it is small, parking can be a challenge during these events. And so the closer you are to Main Street, it really is advantageous because you don't have to worry about parking. You can either take a golf cart down because Safety Harbor is golf cart friendly, or you can even walk to these events. And so being closer to Main Street is really super ideal. One of my favorite things growing up was that my dad actually had an office that was pretty close to Main Street, and so we could park at his office and walk right to the parades, walk to Third Friday and all sorts of stuff without having to find parking. And I really wish that he still had that office, because that was such an amazing hack for us, because we did not have to find parking. During those events, which was really super ideal. Also, another super awesome thing about Safety Harbor is a lot of cool restaurants are actually locating themselves on Main Street, and some of these restaurants actually have some good popularity. Restaurants like Tide, that is Michelin Guide recommended, Giggle Waters, which hosts these really cool movie nights where you can either watch a movie, or they have an event where you watch a movie and they serve you meals from the movie. And Nona Slice, which has a ton of awards for their pizzas. There's a really awesome local restaurant scene in Safety Harbor. So again, even though it's small, there is still a ton happening in Safety Harbor. Sometimes places like downtown Dunedin overshine Safety Harbor because it is bigger and more well-known, but Safety Harbor really does have a lot to offer. And so if you are looking for Safety Harbor, areas like the Countryside and Clearwater are a great spot to be in. And also Safety Harbor has its own schools, specifically elementary and middle school. High school is Countryside High School. So even though it's smaller, I would not overlook this spot. It's definitely something that you should keep in mind, and it was an awesome place to grow up around. I really love Safety Harbor, and even to this day, I still will go to Safety Harbor, and I just look back with so many fond memories. And so it's definitely a place that I love and recommend living near.
My name is Aaron, and me and my wife Aubrey are realtors here in Tampa Bay with Accelicor Real Estate. And over the years, we have helped 40 people relocate to Tampa Bay and buy homes all across the area. You can read about all the experiences and all the reviews on our website. You can also book a call with us on our website, or you can reach out to us on the number which is on the screen right now. But yeah, we make these videos, we put these out every week for folks like you that are looking to relocate. So definitely drop a comment, tell us what you like, don't like about the videos. But yeah, we make these just for folks like you. So let's talk about what you can expect as a relocation buyer that is considering Safety Harbor as one of your potential decisions and destinations. And I also want to share with you guys why me and Aubrey no longer live in Safety Harbor, or in the Countryside Safety Harbor area, and why we actually moved away to Newport Richey. So one decision that often people make is the decision between, okay, Safety Harbor or Dunedin, just because they are both the coastal towns with designated coastal downtown destinations in kind of the greater Clearwater area, which is kind of this whole spot right here. Now, really, when it comes to Dunedin versus Safety Harbor, here are the things you got to keep in mind. Safety Harbor is going to be much more laid back and a lot quieter. It's got a much smaller downtown area than Dunedin. But that being said, the prices in Safety Harbor overall are going to be much higher. This is going back to the last 90 days. We've got 589, 725, 505, 630, 1.4, 725, and 812. And Safety Harbor is actually one of the richest cities in America. In Florida. And so because of that, and the reason for that is not necessarily because of downtown Safety Harbor. It's actually just, I think, a lot to do with just Safety Harbor's location in general. It's a bit more private. It's a bit quieter, great location. It is a great spot, and it's very, very established. But all these homes up here, guys, that are 595, 725, 589, these people aren't necessarily moving for downtown Safety Harbor because the drive from up here to the south point of where Safety Harbor is, it is very disconnected. It's not, people aren't necessarily choosing those homes for the reason that you'd choose a home near downtown Dunedin. That being said, too, with even the area in and around downtown Safety Harbor, there is some like bits of commercial influence, which you see here. It's a bit industrial in spots, which is kind of the one negative thing that people say about downtown Safety Harbor, but overall it is very small, which is a massive pro for people that don't always want to be in a super crowded, busy area. Safety Harbor is not very well known. Not many people know about it and know about all that it has to offer because of how small it is, so it kind of does slip under the radar, and you're not necessarily hearing about like the tourists and the droves that are packing out Clearwater Beach, Dunedin, and Tarpon Springs. And so that's some advantages with Safety Harbor. Overall, the type of homes you're going to find in here are literally a variety. Like I was looking at one of these that sold recently for $520, but literally, guys, this is like the strangest. I love it. It's I love the terrazzo. It's unique, but you've got super unique, I guess, mid-century kind of style homes established here. And then also like even here on the corner near Noda's, there is a beautiful bungalow, which I always just talk about because I think that is just absolutely stunning. And I'm sure, hope I get to meet this guy someday, but this bungalow located right here is just absolutely beautiful. And you even get like a mix of new construction as well. And I love how the new construction complements the bungalows. And so if you are going to be in Safety Harbor proper, then that's totally a big win. There's great advantages to that. The golf cart zone, all kinds of things, but you can still get a lot of what is awesome about Safety Harbor in spots like Countryside, because it's not necessarily great to limit yourself even to the small area of Safety Harbor, because even if your budget is within the $700K to $1 million price point, you're going to have options all throughout. And I would not toss up the options in Clearwater as well, in Countryside, because really, guys, topographically, this whole area is very, very high. So all the orange is flood zone X. So you can just see instantly why this area is a great spot for people that want to prioritize getting away from flood zones. The entire orange area that you see, guys, I mean, we're really getting out of Safety Harbor, but Countryside, Safety Harbor is a great spot for flood zones in general. Okay, so since Safety Harbor and Dunedin and all these places are so often awesome, why did we move away from Countryside? Simply this, guys, it's not actually that complicated. We were renting in Countryside, and 3 years ago when we bought our first house, we wanted to buy our first house, and simply put, guys, the prices in Dunedin, the prices in Safety Harbor, the prices in Countryside just were not practical for what me and Aubrey's needs were. It's just the two of us. We don't have kids yet. And it really was buying our first home. So we didn't necessarily want to go all out. So that being said, the homes in Pasco County, the homes in Newport Richey are significantly more affordable. And so with that being said, it can be hard to hit everything that you want on your list of I want this, this, and this in a home if you are prioritizing Safety Harbor, Countryside, Dunedin, and being in these hyper coastal areas that are very, very established and that are awesome to live in because of how centrally they're located and just near everything. But that being said, overall, the prices for the homes here, guys, are very much in and around the $500,000 to $800,000 range. But there are outliers that tend to be lower. But you'll see some homes that, like even the ones that are lower, they might not necessarily hit all the boxes, or maybe they need some updating. But overall, guys, there are tons of great options. The main thing that I want to highlight about Safety Harbor and Countryside that I love, because honestly, guys, now that me and Aubrey are thinking about, okay, where do we want to move next? We are thinking about moving back to Countryside as one of the spots just because of how much we love the location. But overall, guys, main point for this video is this is a great spot to situate your sound location wise. It's perfect, honestly. There is a ton going on and in and around it, but you don't have to necessarily be in Safety Harbor. You can be in really any of these spots, even like Greenbrier, like we said in another video, is a great neighborhood. Homes here are awesome, like 300K you can find. But also at the same time, guys, do not sleep on Safety Harbor, because there are some beautiful, stunning homes. If you are wanting a higher end home, but you're worried about flood zones, but you want to be in a quieter neighborhood where you can golf cart to a downtown area but not have to run into tourists all day, every day, Safety Harbor is a 10 out of 10 pick. And I honestly love it in a lot of ways. I love it more than Dunedin. Okay guys, I hope that video was super helpful. We have another video where we actually compare downtown Clearwater to downtown Dunedin to downtown Safety Harbor, because that is a conversation I see a lot of relocation home buyers go through. So I'll link that here, so check that out. But also we have a lot of other videos that you can also check out. And again, my number is on the screen. Book a call with us. We would love to hear from you and help you with your relocation journey. And yeah, comment below what you guys liked about this video and if there's anything you'd like to see in future videos. Again, my name is Aaron. Me and my wife Aubrey, we're realtors here with Accelercore Real Estate. And if you are thinking about making a move, definitely we would love to hear from you. But yeah, we'll see you next week.